Welcome to The Explainer. So let's just get right into it, shall we? If you've been following the news lately, you might be feeling like artificial intelligence is just this never-ending hype cycle, right? Just endless chatbots and massive theoretical promises. But here's the thing. This summer, the landscape has fundamentally shifted. We are looking at a moment where AI is literally breaking out of our screens and aggressively reshaping the physical world around us. So our goal today is to cut straight through that noise. We're going to look at the hard data, the actual events happening on the ground, and see exactly what is going on right now in the summer of 2026. I want to hook you immediately with this staggering number. Just think about this for a second. $6.3 billion. That is the added electricity cost hitting consumers across the 13 states that make up the PJM electrical grid over the next 2 years. Why? Well, it's because of the booming energy demands of AI data centers. Now, what this proves is a massive, massive shift. AI is no longer just this invisible, lightweight software floating around in the cloud. It is heavy, power-hungry physical infrastructure. It's gone from a cool concept you read about on a blog to a literal line item on millions of household utility bills. So here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the AI infrastructure boom. Second, big tech battles and capital velocity. Third, AI friction in our daily lives. And finally, we'll look at the scientific AI frontier. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the AI infrastructure boom, powering the future. So, going back to that $6.3 billion figure for a moment, the sheer physical scale and the energy appetite of the modern AI industry is just unprecedented. And this massive energy requirement, it isn't happening in a vacuum. It is hitting the ground in local communities, and it is causing some really intense friction. For instance, down in Georgia, the Marietta City Council just outright tabled the approval of a new data center. Over in Oregon, Salem residents are pushing back hard against a proposed $5.1 billion facility entirely because of water and energy concerns. Meanwhile, a quiet corner of East Texas is bracing for an absolute boom. And down in Florida, Sarasota County has actually blocked hyperscale data centers for at least a year. The digital revolution is quite literally battling it out with local zoning boards. Moving right along to Section 2, big tech battles and deals, the capital velocity. Okay, let's shift gears from local infrastructure straight up to the corporate boardroom, because the capital is moving at speeds we have rarely ever seen in the tech sector. To really grasp the financial momentum behind AI right now, just look at a few of these recent mega deals. Netflix just acquired Ben Affleck's AI startup for roughly $587 million. Meanwhile, Meta is reportedly in talks to lease computing power to Anthropic in a deal valued at a mind-boggling $10 billion over just 2 years. $10 billion! And it's not just traditional tech and entertainment either. SpaceX is in talks with the Department of Defense to provide billions of dollars in computing power for the Pentagon's own AI push. The alliances being formed to secure raw compute and top talent are completely turning the corporate hierarchy upside down. But hey, where there is that much money moving that fast, corporate friction is totally inevitable. Apple has officially sued OpenAI, alleging the theft of hardware trade secrets. And get this, they've targeted roughly 40 of their former employees with legal letters demanding they preserve their communications. But honestly, the wildest detail that emerged from this lawsuit is a deeply human one. Apparently, communication between these two absolute tech giants completely broke down after an Apple lawyer accidentally mixed up the last names Wang and Chang when dealing with OpenAI staffers. It just goes to show, even at the very highest levels of cutting-edge artificial intelligence, a simple human error can still completely throw a wrench in the gears. And you know, this friction is also driving much broader industry strategies. Elon Musk recently announced that X will make its entire codebase open source once they finish up their security reviews. Now, just to report on this neutrally, it is really worth noting the context here. This decision actually follows recent reports where a programming tool called Grok Build inadvertently made exposing users' codebases to cloud storage just a little too easy. So you have this massive push and pull happening right now. On one side, you have proprietary secrets, like we see in Apple's lawsuit, and on the other, you have open-source strategies, like X's announcement. It's a dynamic that is absolutely defining today's tech landscape. Which brings us to Section 3, AI friction in daily life, the micro impacts. We've talked about the massive macroeconomics. We've talked about the boardroom battles, but now I want to zoom way in. Let's look at how AI is suddenly disrupting our normal, everyday activities. These might seem like totally random cultural examples, but look at how society is actively throwing up speed bumps. Major League Baseball has officially banned teams from using generative AI apps on their dugout iPads for in-game decisions, stuff like pitch calling and substitutions. In real estate, New York City just enacted policies requiring landlords to disclose when rental listings have been altered by AI, so people aren't tricked into visiting digitally gussied up apartments. On a much more serious note, San Francisco has ordered Apple and Google to take down apps that generate non-consensual explicit images. And even OpenAI itself is now implementing mandatory break reminders for teens who spend extended time on ChatGPT. From baseball to finding an apartment to parenting, we are actively, in real time, trying to figure out where AI belongs, and maybe more importantly, where it doesn't. And speaking of guardrails, there are some really deep questions surfacing about the inherent biases built right into the models themselves. A new report from the Meta Oversight Board tested popular language models from Google, Meta, OpenAI, Anthropic, and DeepSeek, and what they found is super interesting. These massive AI models are significantly less likely to criticize governments and leaders that are known for restricting free speech. Now, the technical reasons for these refusals are incredibly complex, but it highlights a really critical issue for us. As we start relying on these tools for our daily information, it is absolutely crucial that we understand the political and cultural blind spots they bring along for the ride. All right, finally, Section 4, the scientific AI frontier, the moonshots. If all the friction in our daily lives feels a bit heavy or overwhelming, let's completely shift the tone here, because the work happening in hard scientific research powered by AI is incredibly optimistic, and it is accelerating at lightning speed. I absolutely love this quote from Yassi Matias, the vice president of Google Research. He says, "The magic cycle of research is accelerating, with greater opportunities for AI to amplify human ingenuity." Beyond the basic chatbots and the messy corporate lawsuits, AI is quietly becoming this ultimate collaborative partner in the laboratory and out in the natural world. To really ground that quote in reality, let's look at what Google Research is actually pulling off right now. They are deploying something called Earth AI to transform raw planetary information into actionable intelligence for nature restoration. They are also utilizing a brand new AI-powered satellite constellation called FireSat. This tech is capable of detecting smaller wildfires way earlier than our traditional methods, which obviously gives firefighters a massive, life-saving advantage. This isn't just generating a funny poem or an email. This is AI actively monitoring and protecting our physical environment. There is such a huge disconnect right now between what consumers think AI does and what recent papers reveal it's actually doing at the scientific frontier. Most of us just know it for simple text generation, but take recent research like BrainPilot. This system uses what's called agentic research, which basically means the AI actually acts as an independent, autonomous agent making its own decisions to explore and map brain science. We're also seeing major breakthroughs in spatial regularization, which is a fancy way of saying we're teaching AI to actually understand the physical laws, dimensions, and spacing of the real world, rather than just hallucinating shapes. AI is graduating from a simple, helpful assistant to an autonomous researcher capable of driving real scientific discovery forward on its own. So what does this all mean for us? Today, we've seen how artificial intelligence is physically drawing billions of dollars in power from our local grids. We've seen how it's forcing local governments and global tech giants to completely rewrite their laws and their business models. And we've seen how it's fundamentally accelerating human science. So as we look at the state of AI this summer, the question we are left with isn't really about what the technology is going to do next. The technology is already here and it is moving at light speed. The real question is, are we ready for it? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I highly encourage you to keep exploring these incredible developments. Catch you next time.